What's going on, guys? Steve here, and today I'm going to be talking about something kind of old news, not really, but it's my top 10 games of 2015. Now, I know I'm a little late with this video, but I still wanted to get it out there, let you guys know what I was really playing in 2015, what I really enjoyed in 2015, and what, I'm going to be comparing 2016 to. Right before I get into my top 10, though, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. Games like Super Mario Maker, where I didn't spend too much time with, but I really enjoyed them, really understood what the game was about, the platform it kind of set for the community. Persona 4, Dancing All Night, great Vita game. I think it's the game I spent the most time with on the Vita. It's just great for Persona fans, great for rhythm, game people who like the rhythm kind of games. The music's fantastic, characters are there. This is a story that will get you by. It's not, award-winning story, but it is a story that will help you progress a little bit more, get used to the characters if you're new to the series. Another Nintendo game actually, is Splatoon. I know this game was not considered a hardcore AAA, but it is nice seeing Nintendo break into a new IP instead of giving us over and over the same characters that we all love, but it's nice being able to see them expand, try different new ideas, and I hope we do get to see Splatoon in a more advanced stage later on. My last honorable mention, I want to give it to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, but due to the issues plaguing Unity, I kind of fell off it. I wasn't excited for Syndicate. I didn't look up any trailers. I may have seen it at E3, but I didn't really look into it. I did end up purchasing it on a sale, I think Black Friday maybe, and I'm really enjoying it. It's an Assassin's Creed game that I've been craving. The characters are there, having the brother, the sister, the story's a little bit better. Now the gameplay still has its tweaks and issues, things that I hope they would fix by now, but it is a big step in the right direction. It's something I just really liked, and I was glad I got to experience it a little bit, not really too much, and hopefully I get to jump in more into it this year. Now, first on my top 10 games, and now this is going to be in alphabetical order, not my number one game of the year to my least favorite. It's just in alphabetical order, the games that I spent the most time with, the games that I really was able to dive into and enjoy. And the first on that list is going to be Batman Arkham Knight. Now, I know this game was mixed reviews, average to great to good to disappointing to some. The only real aspect to me that was disappointing in it was the tank controls, where missions became completely just repetitive. Shoot this, this guy come here, so you gotta push circle there, and it got old, but the story was there. I'm a huge comic book fan. The story was there, the characters were great, the graphics were able to be, not top quality, but it is great and it looks great on the next generation consoles. But it's a game that I spent a lot of time with. I pretty much completed it all except the Riddler trophies. I never do those. But it was an interesting and a good concluding end to that series, and it was everything I needed it to be. I know other people had higher expectations, but I didn't want to. I go into it with an open mind, and I really enjoyed it. The second on my list is a game I didn't really expect to enjoy. I didn't really expect to purchase and spend the time I did with it, and that's Bloodborne. Now, again, another new IP this year. I know it's sort of a spiritual successor to Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but I didn't really play those games. I tried them out, saw how brutal they were, just how much time it takes to really get into those games. But something about Bloodborne, I don't know if it's the aesthetic, the world it created, but it was something just caught my eye. Again, seeing other people play it, I decided to go out and I loved it. Now, yes, it is brutal. You're gonna be dying. One of the first missions is to die, but it's something that you learn the game, and within learning the game, you pretty much control it. You understand what enemies need to survive, what enemies are gonna die with certain attacks. And it's a game, again, I didn't expect to like it at all, and I really enjoyed it. Another game I didn't really expect to like and was very scared on purchasing, Dying Light. Now, Dying Light's a game I spent a lot of time with. It came out during some winter time over here, and it was just, I was able to play it a lot. And I didn't, I beat the main story, and I was still going back, getting little trophies and files and playing the game, upgrading, upgrading my character. Now the story isn't the greatest, but it is interesting enough to get you by. The difference between the day and night cycle is really interesting to see. Being disappointed in games like Dead Island and its sequel, I was worried for this game, but I'm really glad it came out, and I'm really glad it succeeded, and I'm glad it's going to get another, breath of life with its DLC coming out this month, and I can't wait to jump back into that game. Another game I'm really excited to try to jump back into, and number 4 on my list, Fallout 4. Now, I know there's a lot of, controversy of it being weak, being, Fallout 3.5, but it is, what I looked for in a Fallout game. I was very new to it. I had played a little bit in prior games, but this is the first one I was really able to, get at launch, jump in, and experience that full world. It's a game that, doesn't look the best, but it plays solid. It's, filled with its glitches, and I think it's time that people, can't keep giving Bethesda a slide on that. It's time for them to, fix their engines and stuff. I understand they always make these huge world games, but it's time to, tweak those things. Just help it perfect it. And Fallout 4 was a great step into it. You had your stories, I should say, because there's so many branching. The side missions full of content that game is. It's just, that game is just incredible to see that much work go into a game, and for the same price of other games that you can felt ripped off by. Fallout 4 is a definite play, and of course had to be in my list of games of 2015. I mean, pretty much it was on everyone's list, whether they liked it or were disappointed by it. Now, this game, a lot of people don't really talk about. I haven't seen it on many other people's lists. Most of my games agree with others' lists, and that's Mad Max. Now, I get a lot of heat for liking this game. A lot of people think of it as just a movie license game, and it's really not. Now, it takes some art style from the movie Mad Max Fury Road, but it is its own standalone title, and it just runs great. Like, the game is so interesting. I was getting tired of these open world games, but Mad Max gives you a different kind of feel. An empty-ish kind of world, but plenty of stuff to do with the different hideouts, the story that's really interesting. You got the car combat, which is the star of this game. The battle combat is really similar to Batman, so whether you like it or hate it, it's in there. But the car combat, the mapping, is just, the art style is also interesting. Not great, not, realistic, but it's a game that I spent a lot of time with, and I was looking forward to, and I'm one of the only people in my group of friends that I was interested in that game and looking forward to that game. And it's a game that I'm going back to now still over other games. I look at Fallout, look at Mad Max, and just I choose Mad Max. Not that it's better than the other, but it's a game that speaks to me more. So again, something that launched alongside Mad Max and kind of killed its buzz and had Mad Max sitting in its corner is my number 5 on the list, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Now, I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, but I'm not the oldest Metal Gear Solid fan. I just got into the series in 2015. I was playing all the games chronologically, so by the time I caught up to this, I had a lot of expectations, especially after playing 3 and 2 and playing all these ones fresh in my mind. Metal Gear Solid 5's gameplay was incredible. It's very interesting to see something done like that in a kind of open world, but not really. I don't like to use that term with this game, because you have a map, but it's not truly open world, but it's really a filled world. You have the different bases, you have the different places you go to, you have your home base, and the gameplay, the stealth gameplay is what really spoke to me. Now, it's not the best third-person, shooter game. I know people claim it's not, but what really spoke to me was that beginning of Metal Gear Solid, when you had so much story, when you're crawling through the hospital, you see this burning man. It's just, that was speaking to me. I was so excited to get into that game. I was a little let down by it all, especially when the story kind of just disappears and there's a few scenes there. Metal Gear's always had that story that carries you through that game, and just Metal Gear Solid 5 was missing that. But of course, I spent so much time doing all these side missions and upgrading my characters, getting quiet, making sure she had the right equipment to do the missions I wanted to do. So much freedom in that game, and that's what really captivates a lot of people, is that freedom they give you in that game. You can go in, guns a-blazing, go in stealth, you can do all different kinds of things. And it's great to see games give you more variety, letting everyone play the game the way they want to, and that's really interesting and really cool to do. Number 7 on my list, Mortal Kombat X. Now, fighting games usually don't get on people's top 10 games. I'm not sure why. Mortal Kombat X is a fantastic fighting game. You know, microtransactions aside, the cast is solid, the controls are solid, the gameplay is always there, of course. Story is, to some people, weak, but interesting for me to help introduce the new characters that you haven't seen. I know some people are bummed out by characters that were excluded and are kind of being sold separate in DLC packs, but the core gameplay is there, the gameplay mechanics are there, the different varieties on each character. It's just really cool, and it's a game that I spent a lot of time with. It was a game I was very excited for, especially after its reboot a couple years ago. Before the next one is Rocket League, actually, my number 8, Rocket League. Now, I know a lot of people talk about Rocket League and being a huge game, but Rocket League to me made my top 10 instead of an honorable mention because it captivates what games do. Games bring people together. Sometimes it helps that people have fun, be competitive, be creative, be diverse, and that's what Rocket League does. I was able to sit down with any of my friends, gamers, not gamers, and they were able to pick up the control and get right into Rocket League, have just such chaotic fun, and to see it explode into such a community, such a competitive community, but also a united community with different groups and different people doing their different branches and stuff. It's nice to see Rocket League, that's from a smaller studio, a smaller game in general, just explode and really be accepted into the community. I love that game. You know, it looks great. It has such chaotic fun. You can go back and replay it anytime you need to. It's there, a couple matches, and it's great. From our online single player to couch co-op, which isn't seen too much, and that's why it had to make my number 8. Now, number 9 on my list is a game that I expected nothing from. I really heard little from, except maybe some conferences, and that's Until Dawn. Now, this is a very unique experience I had this year. I've played games like, Beyond Two Souls and those kind of games, and this is very on the similar path, but it's very interesting to see it. It came out during, Halloween-ish time, so the mood was right for this game. It came out when I needed a break from a lot of these open world games where you just feel overwhelmed and burdened. So it was nice to have this game where it's like a nice progressive plot. You're able to, get through events, like some characters, and if you didn't like other characters, don't save them. It was interesting. It was interesting to see. It's still interesting to see and go back and have other friends play, see the different decisions they make, and see how it affects the story, because things change, Though there's still, a formula to everything. It's nice to see what characters survive, what characters didn't through other people's gameplays, see how other characters play out through the different scenarios that you may not have seen. And that's why it had to be on my list. It was a game I absolutely loved this year, in 2015. It was just a great time, great party game, and it's still a great game, even to go back to now. Now, last but not least, and it's everywhere, you guys are probably tired of hearing this game. You either love it, you hate it, it's not for you, you don't care. The Witcher 3. Now, I am not an experienced Witcher player. I didn't play the first one. I didn't play the second one. I watched a lot of videos, read recaps, before jumping into the third one. And I have to say, it's a huge game. Now, I understand it's also kind of empty in certain places, but I spent a lot of time in this game. The lore of it. I've always been into that kind of fantasy, creatures and spells and witchers. It's a really interesting world. It's a game that I spent so much time with because the littlest mission expands, like, oh, you have to go talk to this guy. You talk to this guy and he's in a bad mood because he accidentally kills his wife pregnant with the baby, and then you find the baby, and the baby is either in a demonic form, a spirit form. You help it. The Witcher is such a dense and heavy game, and it plays for and against it because sometimes you can get overwhelmed in that game. But I played it on the PlayStation 4. I know the true experience, people say, is on PC, but I did play it on the PS4 and I loved it. The lighting, the graphics, the voice acting, the characters are very, very interesting. The world itself is just something that you can dive into and just experience so much, not even playing the main campaign. You can just get lost in side missions. You can play the card game Gwent, I believe. And it's just something that a lot of people jumped into. People I see grasp to it, and combat sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired. I believe they fixed most of that with updates though, and it's just a game that just in general was very intriguing to me. A game that I knew zero about, met my standards on so much, giving me a world to go through, giving me people to talk to, giving me different objectives to do. And that's why it had to be in my top 10, and I understand why it won countless Game of the Year awards, whether we're at the award show, IGN's. It's an obvious reason why it's on there, but I understand where people come to being negative with it. What are some games that you guys enjoyed in 2015? Some games that you're maybe just catching up to now? Let me know in the comment section below. Tell me, what games do you agree with me? What games do you not agree with me? Let me know why. Tell me different things. We're here, back and forth. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. And until next time, take care.